And we are live talking about TV shows once again. Today we talk about Fallout Season 2, Episode 4, Episode 5, Episode 6. How are you, the dragon?
Good. Been busy. I mean, I'm not saying as I should. I'm having to do a lot of research for streams, but very, very busy. When I mean very, very busy for a 3 week bout. I may not get to them. I'm going to have to crack open some commentary streams on current events. See, there's the Davos thing we'll touch upon later. There's the Minneapolis thing I'll touch on with a friend next week. I may have to do other stuff on it next week too, because it's evolving so worse. And then I've done my own stream, my own channel. I've done Fallout, but I review it episode at a time because I'm borderline A autistic, or I go into the details.
Amazing. Well, let's get into Episode 4. And then we will go to 5, and then we will finish with 6. So, what
Okay,
were your thoughts
so
on Episode 4 of Fallout Season
four
2?
is the only episode I'm not impressed by. It's been it's because its runtime was 43 minutes total. So every episode's been roughly 50 was largely 51 to 55 minutes. So it's like 8 minutes on credits, so you're talking a runtime of about sometimes 40 to 50 minutes. 4 has the problem of it's the first time we actually finally get to see the strip. Like after episode 3, where they talk about the Brotherhood, and it's no, this is actually the episode where they talk about the state of the NCR and Legion in the Mojave. Now, the Legion part, I think that's the right episode. No, we're coming off that one. Was 3 the Profligate? Because they all seem to run together.
I will be honest, my memory is kind of
Your
bad.
memory is so 4. I wasn't impressed by because we get to see Vegas. Yes, so this is it's where she started. They so 4. It's because that's why I did my reviews. I did my review with 3 and 4 together. That's why they blend. So 4, Lucy is recovering from buff out. Like I guess she's addicted to buff out. Like I always thought that was weird because the ghoul had set off an explosive in the Legion camp, which resumed them fighting. So the NCR, the last remnant of the NCR, was not wiped out. Now, it felt weird because Lucy's dealing with an addiction. Like, it's a way of Fallout if you ever play the games, it deals with the addiction system. But it's also, in a way, Lucy. I've heard the episode, it was supposed to be about consequences of your actions or ramifications of your moral choices. I mean, get again, Oxhorn, Juice Head, and others. I mean, it's been interesting. It's the cinematic, but like you get to see at College it culminates. You get to see the outskirts of Vegas. Now, a core complaint I have about the episode is the people have decided to go fuck with the locations of New Vegas. So, in the game, you can't get into New Vegas just easy. They have them coming in, which is still the path of the courier, but you're coming around it's the gunsmith and the gun manufacturer's thing, which goes around to East Side. But that does not automatically have a gate that goes to the strip. It goes to another part of New Vegas because it's East Side that connects to Vegas. You have to then also on the other side get into West Side. I'd have to see. This is where a lot of people, if they played New Vegas, you kind of know it. Now, chief complaint: the ghoul. Now, I'll start with the kings. There's no good answer on the kings because the trailer is they all became ghouls and they were living on the side of the gun manufacturers. Now we got an answer, we get it in the next episode about why there's death claws on the strip. Okay. The very idea, the opening of the episode is actually the demon in the snow. Is they're saying that death claws are a byproduct of FEV experiments prior to the war. Okay, here nor there. It's not as egregious as forgetting the Master and the story of the Citadel from Fallout 1, and they moved around Los Angeles. Which, that's a complaint. So, that's him accounting it where he saw it, which is the key, the demon in the snow. I've also called it the devil in the snow. But it opens up with Cooper because he talks about why the T-45s were bad. Now, you're going to have to remember this because this detail is brought up in the future episode. He gets paralyzed, knocked over in the suit because they're not working. 3 Chinese people. Then the Chinese soldiers are giving a very good speech. It's one of the better parts of the episode. So you only see it if you watch it with subtitles. The Chinese soldiers are, and they're very accurate to the games. They're like, so this is the future, talking about the power armor and everything else. They just don't straight up shoot him. They're torturing him on the ground. It's a female soldier and 2 others. So she's like the leader. And then it goes through and it said, we will have to make the same choice this man did. And then right before the whole speech, she gives him the okie dokie in a very Chinese thing because it's the only thing in English. But he does not tell her because this whole thing is initially set up because he starts walking towards a downed vertebrate. Now, if you play the games, you know what a Deathclaw sounds like. Because this was in the trailer, but we also know what a Deathclaw sounds like. The Deathclaw comes out and kills. He's looking in terror behind him. The Deathclaw comes out and kills the Chinese soldiers. Then he has like terror. But then they declare it's the Battle of Juno. The Juno Island is basically free. All the Chinese have retreated. But it is set up brilliantly because it shows the events prior to Operation Anchorage or the battles in Alaska. Now, you need to remember that because this comes into play at the end of the last part, episode 4. Now, Lucy's dealing with her addiction. But she also has a thing. Before she gets to where the Kings are, she sees Vegas. She goes, yeah, so if you want to get over addictions, you vomit it out. It takes about 3 days. Nah, she's like, Ghoul's like, she tells the Ghoul, I just want to get to New Vegas to find my father. Okay. That's when she goes through the side, which is the gun manufacturer's side. Which is fine. So apparently, why is the gun manufacturing place over there not there? You get your answer. See, we were going to have to get the explanation why there is death claws on the strip. One of the early things we saw was a strip and a death claw fight, which is going to come episode 7. It's coming in episode 7. But it's not coming. It doesn't happen in 5 or 6. So, Death Claws got to the strip. Now, in reality, that's where the episode ends, where they see the death claws and why that's there at night. In the death claw, there's death claws on the strip. Now that's explained in the next episode. But
So we
this,
are still in four. And
yes,
now I feel like I want to share my thoughts because you talked in length, which is great. That's the
I
point
took
of that stream.
there's three subplots
Yeah.
there, by the
So
way.
here is my actual
You go first. I'll
thoughts.
go through mine.
Yeah. So I thought this episode 4 was very entertaining. The factory guy impersonating a Commonwealth guy was very cool. The lead meeting the new California Republic was kind of fun. Nice humor. Funny how nobody has restraint when it came to food. The lead destroying the ghouls was very entertaining. Full chaos was wonderful. Nice political ideas clashing within the vault. Some give free food, the other place austerity, and it really feels like a left versus right idea. Now, as much as I enjoyed these aspects, I had two issues with episode 4. Issue number 1, plot armor on Maximus as he fought the leader of the Brotherhood. My second issue would be, as much as most characters were stupid in universe, some of the plot points in the story rely on that stupidity, and that bothers me. The best example, guy talking about the conspiracy to the person in charge that is also involved in the conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
I was very insulted because again, that TV show made a point. These characters are stupid in purpose, and that's the point of the show. But to have a character talk that way in the entire conspiracy plot, it just broke my immersion. I was like, it's a step too stupid. It's
Which are you
a step
talking
too
about
far.
conspiracy plot? Because there's a few. Because this episode goes over what I was talking about is there's also the Brotherhood plot. The Brotherhood plot breaks down into the Brotherhood Civil War. Maximus goes to because okay, we were like, how is he going to? So Thaddeus has to act. See, we're coming off the last episode with the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood we knew was going to have to go into a civil war of sorts. So the idea on the Brotherhood, that's why I said 4 had really bad pacing issues, and it really the subplots didn't click. Because I talk about the strip plot first. The Brotherhood plot goes through the episode because these episodes skip around. I hate it how they do this. So the Brotherhood, he gets back. He has to not say that he killed the guy. He tells Dane he killed the guy, and he's going to kill Quintus. We get the lore drop. It was Quintus that saved Maximus at Shady Sands. Now, he goes, "Why did you kill him?" "To protect children." "What kind of children?" "Ghouls." This is also where, in like, you remember how I said in episode 2, we got the primer on the uh, what the Brotherhood is? They're a very much an order that hates abominations, but they're very religious. So Quintus tries to kill him. But Maximus also told Dane to protect the children. Now, you have Thaddeus. This is why I said Thaddeus' part's really stupid, because you have the various elders who try to butter him up, thinking he's still Harkness, but that disguise almost comes out because the Brotherhood Civil War starts. Now, that scene goes from there. They flee with cold fusion. Now, by the way, there's no payoff for that for 2 episodes. Lastly, there's the vault plot, which sets up for something we're getting next episode. By next episode, I mean 7, about the head By the way, you forget the person in the plot. The head who's the overseer of Vault 31 right now, from 31, that has the one eye, was part of the Canadians absorbed in the lore. But she is at the head. She's asking for the keepsake box. But there's also the idea in the vault. This is why I said the vault plot's always been retarded in the show. Because the vault plot inside Vault from 31, 32, 33 doesn't make sense because the water chip broke last season. That chip, they should be dying on water before now. But they're like, the guy, what was it, Reggie? Reggie's basically throwing lavish parties because of his inbreeding group, which is a joke from inside the vaults, if you've ever seen it with the inbreeding and first cousins. The idea is you have that, sets that up, you can't deny it. Betty is also trying to keep order and find a way to fix the water chip. Those are all the other two plots. Now, but we do get the idea of the keepsake box. Woody finds it, Woody confronts her. Chet finds her ID. Now, only people who watch or played Fallout kind of know of when the US absorbed Canada, but we do not know why she wants the keepsake box. She wants Hank's keepsake box. Remember that. That's going to be in episode 7. That episode is called The Exchange.
Perfect. Well. I will ask you this. If you were to give a grade to episode 4, what would be your grade out of 10 for episode 4?
You know, I've thought about this. I don't rate it terribly, but I don't like the pacing. I give it a 6 out of 10 because most of these episodes, unironically, are getting like 8s on IMDb. I think they're almost all getting the same ones, roughly.
I feel that. That's
Four is
similar.
the only episode where I think the pacing with the storytelling of like Westworld hurts it immensely. Because the way I describe it is the 3 separate plots in the show. The 3. That is the 3 plots in that episode. But the way they execute it and they jump around, it gets worse in 4 and 5. I mean, 5 and 6. That's why when I review it on my channel, Multi, I take Brotherhood plot, Vault plot, Ghoul plot. I review it together, even though I screenshot it all together. Does that make sense, Multi? Because
Yeah.
to a person, you can't explain. Because if you try to explain in detail how the show goes, you're going to get lost. The show is not designed for, like, let's say a show like Starfleet Academy or another show. It's designed with secondhand viewing in mind. No, Fallout is designed to be watched, not by a second device. You need to watch it because there's certain episodes, if you blink, you miss. If you know what I mean.
So my score of episode 4 is actually kind of low because I think it's a weak episode. I still enjoyed it overall. I think Fallout Season 2 is enjoyable at best, but it's clearly a step down compared to Season 1. So my score out of 10 for episode 4 would be a 8.5 out of 10, which is very low for this TV show in my books. With that being said, let's dive deep into episode 5, except if you'd like to add more on
No, you're fine.
4.
No, I'm going to say the thing about a lot of this season, because see, episode 4, I'll say this. The writers and the people doing it, I looked into this after when I reviewed episode 5, because episode 4, I don't get how they got to it. Because the writers and the director's iffy, but the writer of the show that particular episode has a good pedigree under their belt. Both especially the woman. It goes back years, but I do not know how that show got that way. But if we think on all the episodes up until this point have been very solid. But 4 was a very bad episode. What throws it off is the pacing. But
Understandable. Now let's dive deep into episode 5, and you will carry a lot of weight because I will be honest. So, episode 5, I did watch it at work. However, I wasn't able to take much notes. I still
okay,
remember
so yes, this is
some
where I
of the
help.
best parts, but it's basically just memory what I will be talking about when it comes to episode 5. So, let's go into episode 5. What
Okay,
did you think of it?
episode 5. I'm going to begin. You missed one of the best episodes of the entire series to date. This episode, if I glow up this episode, there's a reason. This is the episode that I marked at the start of the season. This was Cooper in the past explaining New Vegas, or Vegas as it was. This episode has House meeting with Cooper officially because he goes with his wife. It also has a lot of revelations in it, in the lore, because it sets up for the next episode, feeds directly into the next episode, which is called The Other Player.
And it's really connected very well because the dad is coming back, and the guy that was with Lucy on the wasteland basically
You mean
fell off a room and got pierced.
we call him the chicken effer. Yes, him. He's in the episode. You have the father because we're at the point that the show is starting to go down. This is where when I start to talk about the cinematography of the show, they talk about the scenes between Walter Goggins as the ghoul into the future. So there is so much lore drops in this particular episode. So, okay, I'm sorry. So the Deathclaw attack was in episode 5. I thought it was in episode 4. My bad. That happens. But the idea is he basically figure out the order. My bad, because I am terrible because some of these, even though I give reviews on.
So as he is doing whatever he's doing, I will actually share what I remember. I remember enjoying a lot the fall of the gold guy that's with Lucy in the flashbacks. He was basically seeing things he didn't like, and he wanted to protect his family as well. And in the future, or I should say in the present day with Lucy, he also wants to protect the kids, leading him to betray Lucy for the sake of the family and the kids.
You give the brief overview. I'll go a little bit more into detail.
Yeah,
So,
but again, I unfortunately didn't take notes for that one, but I still remember fondly of that one. The action was really cool, and really the ending is what made that episode stand out, with Lucy getting like under the influence of substance, remain user friendly, and in a last act of despair, she kind of push her ally through a window, and the ally get pierced by a pokey, and I really thought at that point the ally of Lucy was dead, and turns out he's still alive with episode 6. I just spoiled it, but
he's
not
shocked.
Dead. I thought that was the end of that character, to be honest.
No,
but, that fall he had from Lucy pushing him, and the entire betrayal was very emotional. And again, the betrayal is the thing I remember the most, and the reason why I think it's probably one of the best episodes in the show, mostly because that betrayal makes sense with the characters, and I I didn't really see it coming until they really tell us, yeah, the bad guys got the family of that guy. So I was kind of surprised, but it made sense and it was very good. So
Okay.
now I will let you talk on episode
So
five.
okay, so it kind of starts to where it's this is the one that shows the end, but no, this is not the one. So the end of the last episode, it has the airport, or which is the aftermath of the Legion. This episode opens. They always use the end of the last episode, the cinema, the as a guide for the next one, where the location. So they're landing at the airport. Hank has a device in a little miniature suitcase handcuffed to him. We know that the cold fusion device is supposed to be given to House. Now, he was given and told by Kate Williams to kill, which is Moldiver, to kill House. Now, he lands, uses the thing, and the wife's like, I gotta meet with the head of Robco. And she goes over. He goes, I gotta go call my agent. Because he wasn't supposed to go on this trip. That's a detail to remember. He basically then goes and makes a phone call like, oh, I need to take a poison or a thing. He goes, no. Cooper tells because we still do not know how Moldiver's alive, but I do have a suspicion. Now that we're going through the show, because the revelation in 6 with the character is going to explain why she's alive. I think I know why she's alive, just like he's alive 200 years later. But he says, I'm not going to kill House, but I'll stop the exchange of the cold fusion. Remember the episode with the profligate. Remember what Victor told the ghoul. Didn't you have something to do with messing the deal why House didn't get cold fusion? This is why episode 5 is very important. Because there's a whole part. Because this was a trip, like, he meets House. But then there's also the thing of, I'll go over this first with House. House, when he meets him, goes into the thing. We find out the other one, feel free to throw your ideas in. Because if you didn't take notes, you can comment. I'll go over the House plot first. We confirmed that's a body double. Now, we didn't know how they were going to get cold fusion to Robert House. We know he's going to get it, was supposed to get it. But the body double, who reveals himself to be a body double, says House wants to talk to you. He goes up to the penthouse and talks to Robert House. Victor, of course, if you play the games, meets him at the top of the stairs, and then you can, like, walk down there. He's like, why don't you come down here, Mr. Cooper, or Mr. Howard? He basically goes, why would I want to? But he's like, I also know why you're here. You are here to kill me. House is played as the man who knows everything. Now, there's a ploy in this. So this is why episode 5 largely is a lore dump for the show. So in this conversation, eventually there's a break between this because he goes to another part in the past, which I'll touch on later on. But in the meeting with House, he's not going to go down the stairs and talk to him. He goes, yes, Mr. Howard, I know about your demon in the snow. And this is what causes him to go down the stairs and finally talk to House. He goes, how do you know about that? He goes, I was in Alaska with you. because I licensed out technology through the that was used in the T-45s to monitor stuff. Now, Deep Lore Cut is Fallout might seem retro futuristic, but they do have recording devices. So House, because he gave the software to West Tech, learned about the Death Claw. Now, House goes into a speech. Because, fun fact, both these actors are friends, IRL. That's why they have very good chemistry. He goes, I'm an apex predator. If there's any technology, I'll try to acquire it. Him and Cooper have the conversation because he's like, you weren't there in Alaska because don't look like a soldier. House remarks, yeah, I'm not that crazy to be up there. Because, yeah, he wouldn't put his neck out for battlefield. Cooper was a soldier. So, it culminates with him talking about, I came up with an algorithm that predicted the end of the world. The first one that was predicted, or the date it was found, was the day of his daughter's birthday. Him coming to Vegas, he goes, but that doesn't matter. The date of the end of the world doesn't matter, but the date I discovered it matters. And it was the date of his daughter's birthday. Just Cooper Howard coming to Vegas moved forward the end of the world by 1 month. We know roughly because of the end of the world is, but he also asked why he wants cold fusion. But there's also the talk with House at this point of he's the apex predator and he'll predict the flow. This is why I ask you to remember the previous conversation with House he had in the bathroom. What happens when you have one body backed into a corner, group of bodies, and a whole bunch of bodies, and everyone trying to find the end of the world. House also mentioned it bothers him there's another player at the table. House is told, Cooper, it goes, yeah, what's the motto? The house always wins. House has a mental breakdown a little bit. Am I the ape? Am I still the house at the end? Because it bothers House. House knows nothing of, we as the people who watch the show know it's the Enclave. He does not know anything about the Enclave. He just knows there's another player. Now, there's a very good scene, and it cuts back towards another part of the episode when it does, where he's like, maybe your wife will drop the bombs. Maybe you will. Because there's also the line is, I know who you really are. What you really are. You're a killer, Mr. Howard. It's a great scene. It is one of the best scenes I've ever seen in television for a while. But there is so much said just in that alone, because Cooper's also asked, so if it's not my wife that drops the bombs, who doesn't? Because House calls them a bunch of bureaucrats. Bureaucrats can't decide to drop a bomb. It's going to be another player. Now, this is a deal. That's when he hits him. Like, he kind of puts House off ease. Says, you didn't know my wife would do whatever. But he also hits him. He goes, what if your wife is still the one that drops the bombs? This. And then reality starts crashing in on Cooper. He has a mental breakdown, drinking. He literally pours his entire flask in his mouth. Starts going downstairs. Rides an atomic bomb. Like Strangelove. Now that goes to the end of the episode in that part. Multi. Did you catch any notes on that, or what do you think about it?
The only thing I remember is the guy falling off the window because Lucy pushed him, and that was amazing. And that's why
I'll
it's
get to
one
that.
of the best moments that
By the way,
episode had, and the entire show had, because we see the downfall and the literal fall of a guy that was at some point not necessarily happy with what was going on with the
No, but what
flashbacks.
I'm saying is that part I tell you with the conversation with House, that plays into one of the parts that plays in later on. But in the present side of the plot is they had just escaped the death claws and they're looking at the holding container, which is the strip. They go to the Atomic Wrangler. He goes to the Atomic Wrangler. He tells her to get cleaned up. Go to a store and find a dick doll. Now, he goes and orders a whole bottle to drink. The bartender goes, "You must have just saw all those death claws that came in from Johnson's quarry." Now, players know that is Death Claw Valley on the way to Vegas. It's one of the most direct routes to Vegas, but at some point in 10 years, the Death Claws went through there, left Johnson's quarry, and came to the strip. No way, we don't know how, it just happened. And he's like, yeah. But he also dumps on Lucy about the corporate Vault-Tec vaults. He's been to several of them. He went up into Oregon or Cascades, which is known as Cascadia. They've been empty. Now, but he's never found one in Vegas. And he thinks that's where his wife is. Now, Lucy also has a moral conundrum. Now, she goes to see it, and it's like, oh, the new management in Sonny's. Sonny's is kind of a later. She thinks to steal. Now, I've heard allegories on this a little bit, okay? Like, there's a little bit, they say it's moral lessoning. But the thing about it is, she also notices the side door was open. And by the way, you missed the entire scene if I show the comedical fat guy in the small clothing. Did you miss that one, Multi? Come to
I
find
didn't
out,
miss it, to be honest. I just
you
didn't
didn't get
remember
it.
it.
You didn't remember it or no?
No, I didn't remember it,
So the
but
scene where she
I
goes to
yeah.
steal, she's like, well, they won't really have anything to deal with Death Claws. Like, I don't think a Power Fist deals with the Death Claw, personally, but details.
Oh, and I just got a flash as well. That's the episode where one of the guys that woke up after the stasis realized our Volt guy was a pretender and a liar. That was another
I'll
very
get to
interesting
that
moment.
part too. There's a part in there, but that's the other plot.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about the strip plot, so this is where we are. There's a part where actually the fault plot, I really am just waiting to see how it plays out through the various, because we're only getting snippets of the actual. It's one time I don't hate that. But the idea is with Lucy on the strip, she sees the addict doll to take it. Like, I don't think anyone has 1,000 caps in this universe, but it's this comedical fat guy coming down the stairs where it's a lot of choices here, where it's basically, it's this guy is like a fat guy in oversized like clothing. Like, he looks funny because he realizes he stole Sonny's clothes, and it's a really comedical fat guy that he basically.
So I will take over from here. So again, I didn't take many notes, but I enjoyed what was going
I was
on.
trying to
That was
explain
a
the
quite
see.
entertaining episode, and
No,
I
you're good.
remember one thing about that episode is one of the nitpick I had. I found a counter argument to it, so I was like, you know what? Because I only had one issue with it, and I ended up like countering and refuting what I was saying. I ended up not having any issues with that episode whatsoever. So are you back with us, Dragon?
I am. So the funny thing about this is, in this episode, there's a moment Lucy's confronting her problems, because I actually had to go and get the other screenshots that I actually missed. Now, she's sneaking through thinking she's going to steal. Now, I'm just, don't put these up. I'll put these up in a second. She comes in, because this is why I said this. It's very cinematic, okay? All of this. I just had that. Because these, so the problem is, if you've never seen Westworld, you kind of don't get it. Like, you see these two. So you put up 37 and 38, please. 37 first. Yeah. So, 37. She gets caught stealing. And then the guy goes to draw on her. He's like, I'll maim and I'll shoot. Don't do it. Then you switch to 38. She realizes she shot the guy. Switch over to 38. Will you? Go to 38. She just realized she didn't maim the guy. She shot the guy to death. She shot him with VATS and just killed him. This is Lucy having character growth. She just realized in her addiction, she killed the guy.
And she was feeling weird about it, I think.
There's another weird moment, too, in the episode. Someone comes through and, like, catches her. I think that's the screenshot. She's asked, the woman comes in and goes, who are you? Her answer is, I don't know. There's so many, like,
The reason why she is like, I don't know, it's because she ended a life, and I don't think she believes she would.
there's also the part and so she gets the addictol, and then she starts clearing it out of her system. Now, the part there is where I got into about the house thing. Now, before I get to the end where the ghoul gets punched out the window, I'm going to go over the vault plot. The vault thing is, we learned that Ma June and her partner are there, but Buds are trying to get the Vault Tech headquarters to do phase 2. We think phase 2 is the FEV. It's always been suspected that it's the FEV. But we find out later on. They go up there. Ma June, we learn the fate of Philly. The Brotherhood apparently burned Philly to the ground before leaving. They survived somehow, but they said, you can stay here, take whatever you need, just don't screw with the roach farm. Okay. So they go upstairs. Now, this is a whole thing of the Chad-looking athlete guy was always suspect of Norm. Remember, he was the personal assistant to Bud Askins. Remember that? He goes to set stuff up. The rest of the people, except for the girl, the one, like, I think she's like the Mexican-looking girl with a 50s haircut kind of thing, she was not like the others. So, in reality, she's not having a reality connection. Everyone else is trying to contact. Norm basically goes, I need to contact he's asked who you're trying to contact, the investors on the radio. Now, we're already suspecting Enclave interference. Enclave is the head of a lot of the organizations. There's entirety of multiple game lore on them. But they were the head of a lot of stuff, which this episode pretty much sets up the Enclave being the investors. Now, he goes to Barbara Howard's computer because he asked the assistant, the one girl, and they have a conversation. She's she goes to the office and then realizes that he's not actually Bud's person. And then he go she goes to go get a drink. I guess it's like their bonding moment. They were going to ship them anyways. The Bud's assistant learns there is no future initiative ventures. It's but that's universally known to us as FEV from the video games. He pulls it out of the computer, chokes Norm out. That's the last we see of it. Now, we're going to see the resolution of that plot in 7. Now, the final part. Lucy has cleaned the stuff out of her system, goes back to the atomic wrangler. And he actually comforts her, pulls out of the chair. Because a lot of this is the Vegas flashbacks have been happening through the episode, where he's having to confront his wife. Because he's not sure how we know the quote-unquote talk is going to happen. That happens in episode 6. Now, the ghoul's up there, sees Lucy's going to throw up and goes out the window, throws up other stuff. They have a small bonding moment. Now, he's colloquially, I don't know if you know him like being known as a chicken effer. That's what we know him as in the show. He's a guy who was screwing chickens. By the way, he got picked up earlier in the episode, or one of the other episodes, because he was meeting up with Fisto. You do the math. If you've ever played New Vegas, you know.
I did, but it's been a long time.
You
and
forgot.
I
Okay,
didn't
I
go
did
far
not
in the
know.
game, to be honest.
I did not know that was a Fisto robot.
Anyway,
Okay.
I guess that closes off the episode very
No, let me
well,
finish,
and I will ask you this: what would be your grade out of 10 for episode 5?
Let me finish explaining the last part of this episode first. I'll be quick.
Okay.
So we're here, and it's the confrontation. The guy offers the deal to the ghoul. The ghoul, it's not that the ghoul betrays Lucy. His family's involved. They don't know that the father will not harm Cooper's family. We don't know if they're really there in the chambers, by the way. Because we actually get, when Hank's going through the facility, right? We see them in the chamber. The funny thing is, the guy comes over and says, got a deal for you. He will not harm the guy's family if you do what I say, and you take Lucy back home to the vault. Lucy's like, I thought we were friends. We were allies. The ghoul basically thinks his family's going to be killed. Then he shoots Lucy with a tranquilizer dart. She's passing out. Ghoul goes to drink. He has another rough flashback or idea. She gets up, and there's a speech. That's where the speech from the trailer is. I thought we were best of friends in forming a bond. She feels betrayed. She has enough strength to resist the tranquilizer, same tranquilizer pistol from season 1, equips the power fist, and punches him out the window. That is actually really well done. Then she winds up passing out. The episode ends with the ghoul impaled as she begins to finally pass out, and Hank appears at the end, smirking. Hank McClane's actor is so good. All of this is in one episode. I understand this is long, but this is how deep that episode is. There's so many, and that's when you have the scene where, after that scene, is where Cooper Howard wakes up in the past. They have it where he looks at his wife and says, "We need to talk." Then it cuts to Hank in the present coming to take Lucy down to the management vault. As I said, it's a good episode. It is a very foundational episode. It's dense. Episode 6 is dense too, Multi. But I give the episode literally a 10 out of 10. Just
I
the
agree with
lore
you. That's
tidbits
also a 10 out of
alone.
10 for me. And again, based on the ending, only the ending, I'd say it's one of my favorite episodes in the entire show. Because Lucy pushing someone out the window after a betrayal is just amazing.
That's the father
Yeah,
at
that's
the
one of the
end.
final shots
It
of the
looks
episode
it's
as well.
so good.
Yeah.
Let me see. You talk about him being punched out the window. She equips the power fist and punches him out the window.
And I really thought he was dying there.
No,
I will be honest, coming to episode 6, I was disappointed to see he was still alive.
actually, he's a ghoul. It's going to take longer to kill him.
Yeah.
The thing about this is how this plays out. He's drinking and reflecting, because the line he says, and I know if you hate language, you're not. He goes, "Family is a bitch."
So I guess this is the segue for the 6th episode, and to
Yes.
shake up things before
I will let
we
you go. I will let you go first, because
yeah, exactly.
Episode.
That was what I was about to suggest. So, episode 6, despite my disappointment, I think overall it's a very good follow-up to 5. So let's get into the few notes I have, because I will be honest, I don't have a lot of notes. I have more than 5 for sure, but 6 is a flashback episode with a lot of very interesting stuff happening in the background, with a very nice lore, and Lucy was very entertaining, and Maximus as well. And you can tell they are setting up the penultimate episode, and uh, we get to see more flashbacks with the wife and the fallen hero. And I also thought there was a very funny idea of how people like to be told what to do and how they are so compliant. It's just fascinating and it makes sense. And I feel like it's like the Volt 2.0, but it's not necessarily the Volt because it's different. But they still do some kind of social experiment on them, which is kind of funny. I will also say interesting how the guy used to be trying to be a hero in the past. Um, so that episode is really packed, and I just happened to see it like a few minutes ago, and I will be honest, so much has happened in 40-minute ish that I think that's one of the shortest episode, and it's still giving away so much. Um, I, for one, I will say it was a fun time, and I don't have a lot more to say because again, I didn't take that many notes, and just good time. And I only had one issue with that episode. I think the humor didn't quite land very well for me. And again, I will repeat myself, disappointment, the guy survived. But overall, that episode was a very good follow up, and I'm excited about the penultimate episode being episode 7. Fun time. So now you can go on. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. When I said this is a dense episode, you don't play it justice that it's that dense. It's a 51-minute episode total. Now, I keep going back to Westworld. They're learning the best part of Westworld in the terms of storytelling. Now, I'm going to do the same that I do for all the other episodes. I'm going to go through all the major parts. The part is the talk happens. He wakes up. He's thinking about the conversation with his wife. I was thinking when we met at what is it? I call it. I forget the name of the beach. And he goes, "Were you a monster then, or were you a monster? Did you become a monster?" Then he reveals that he heard a thing. But there's a part to this. You need to remember this is the Barb lore. Okay? In the past, before the trip, a week or two before the trip, she's doing all these meetings. There's a marketing manager. There's a Voltec scientist that says, yeah, we know 30% of the chips will fail.
And I'll also add this that I kind of forgot to mention because it wasn't my notes, but I'm reflecting back on the episode. It's kind of funny how Lucy believes in justice and she arrests her own father, and she is kind of naive that if she brings him back, they will get proper justice. I feel like once they get in the vault, they will simply think of the father as the hero. I don't know. It's just very interesting. I like
There's something
Lucy is
about
still very naive.
there's a soul switch thing. I'd go into the relationship with the father and everybody. That's why I said, remember the smirks from him. He loves his. So the thing when in the past, when this is where she's in the meeting. Now Cooper doesn't know about the stuff with the enclave, the meeting. He thinks his wife's a monster. This is why it's like a married couple. They thought they loved each other. And he goes, why would you end the world? She goes, I do it for Janie. And would you do it? He's like, but there's a bunch of people with it because he's been convinced by Moldiver or House that she might drop the bombs. But he glances over the fact in his mind because he was crashing out that it's not Voltec's too much of a bureaucrat. They're too bureaucratic. Now, the thing about this is there's also something in the meeting that the body double, that's the actor that's been in House, opens the suitcase, shows the black box. Because this was the start of the episode when the office meetings were occurring. You learn about the thing, they're munching on burgers, and she's like, oh, this is like how Barb's origin story, because we haven't had anything like this. The Vault Tech, she's like, oh, we choose where they go, because she was the head of Vault planning. That's one thing to remember. Now, there's a thing, Robert House, or what they think is Robert House, but it's really the body double, opens it and goes, I present to you the automated man. I'm selling it to you. She's like, yes, Rob Cohen Vault-Tec had a special relationship. But he goes, no. But did you forget the memo? I'm selling this to you, and I get cold fusion. She goes, why would you need cold fusion? Because also in
You
the
blow up everything.
no, actually in the statement, he also says it might be above your pay grade for my project in Las Vegas. We know what that project is from the prior episode. Prior to House wanting to get the platinum chip, he was going to use cold fusion to transfer his device to a robot or an electronic system, and to also have enough power to power every anti-missile battery he had. it would have kept New Vegas safe. But he also hints that you won't know what I'm going to do with cold fusion till after the bombs drop. Fun fact, I was looking at the Oxhorn's review of this episode. I think we know who Betty is. Her secretary has a similar hairstyle to Betty, and her name is Betty. Now, that's going to be funny if that's the same Betty who's the overseer of Vault 33 right now. Because remember, she came from Vault 31. She then asked her to look up everything on the storage device of the cold fusion, who runs it, etc., etc. Betty says, is this a good idea or a bad idea? Goes, nothing is a good idea. Then she goes to an elevator to go downstairs to get fresh air. Who's waiting for her in the elevator? Do you remember? Multi?
I will be honest, I don't.
Okay, so.
My memory is terrible. And I've
Okay.
seen that episode today, like just before the
Okay,
stream, because I
so-
wanted to be fresh on it.
So here's the trick. It's Dr. Wilzig that talks to her in the elevator and gives a very good speech. He goes, do you realize we were all replaceable in the company and in this organization? If you do not
That makes sense. This is true.
Here's the funny thing about this scene, because we know the Enclave was involved with the meeting, and he goes, if you don't do this, you and your family is going to die. There's going to be a meeting of executives. You need to convince them to drop the bombs or sell them on it. You will be killed even if I don't deliver this message to you. If I didn't choose not to deliver this message to you, I would be killed as well. And if you know who Dr. Wilzig is, he's the one at the conclave at the beginning of season 1 that escaped with the cold fusion device. And dog meat. Fun fact. That's why I think Moldiver was working with the Enclave, or she got saved by it. Because for him to be around 200 years later, they would have to have cold storage too. Cryo storage. Now, that gets to Cooper Howard, and he's like, who really runs Vault-Tec? And who has enough power to threaten you? And then Cooper goes to get Hank. He comes to find out it's the extractor device for the cold fusion. He doesn't know what to do with it. She comes in and does it. Now, that's the end of the episode. It goes into that. Now, but meanwhile, in Vault 32, there's a small scene. Chet finds out that Woody has gone missing, and he's going to get married to Stephanie. Interesting. And then you have in Vault 33, you have one scene where Reggie stands up because Betty's trying to do it. He goes, it's not a snack budget. You're giving basically salty snacks, and we're low on water. Now, this is where I don't think the show's realistic about the water. Now, in here too is Lucy wakes up from being in there. She sees the mirror with a yellow dress hanging off of it. Do you remember episode 1 of season 1? when she's getting married and looking in the
That's
mirror.
way too far behind, buddy. Sorry, I
Okay,
can't
I'll
remember
explain
things.
this. There's poetic.
That's
She's look.
almost 2 years ago, man.
Okay, so she is looking at herself and she sees the dress hanging near the mirror. The father loves his family, but he's also conditioned his family for responses and knows how they're going to react. See, you think I had the whole spiel. He's kind of evil, but he's lawful evil because he reminds her of the good times, but he also is trying to convince Lucy he is right. This is where the dress hanging on, then she looks at herself changed and she's been running around the waist. She then looks on the desk. It says push 0 when you wake up. And there's sugar bombs there because she's her daddy. Her dad calls her your daddy's little sugar bomb. Now, fun fact, then they run. She goes through and she sees all the various chipped workers. Now, I don't mind that this plot's been fast forwarded. He was going to eventually get it. There's like people, like the guy who's the head of the cons and everything else. She's like, what is this? Because she still thinks her father's evil. She goes to the simulation room as the vault. Now, this is where it's very key. You remember the various sides to all of Fallout. She looks at the simulation. She's nostalgic because remember from earlier in the season, if people watch it, when she recovers. Yes, that's a great question, Miss Lucy McLean. What will you do? She goes, I'll bring my father to justice. Remember that line? That was from when she woke up from being rescued at the NCR base camp
And
thing.
that's very naive. And that's funny how naive this statement is.
Do you remember that? That's like what, 3 episodes?
I do.
That was these 2 episodes prior, and the one where she goes, she's having the conversation with the father, cooking like the thing, and I want you to remember he's tapping all quiet on the Western Front. Very important. So, if the Enclave and others think war never changes, which is basically the lesson of Fallout, no matter what happens, war never changes. Human nature doesn't change. There is a cyclical nature to it. They read a book, they had a book club when they were in Vault 33. They would exchange books. He asked, what don't you like about it? She felt uncomfortable about All Quiet on the Western Front. And by the way, Multi, if you ever want to review that film, one of the ones that came out,
I did. I did review the more
you know what
recent
the book
one
is
in
about, right?
2023.
Do you
I
know what?
liked it.
Do you know
That
what
was
it's
a great
about?
movie.
Do you know what it's about? Still
Yeah,
remember it?
it's a war. I've seen it. It's
It's
basically
anti-war too.
World War I, and it's in the trench, and we get to follow like two soldiers that want to stray away from the front line. It's so far away. Like I've seen it 2 years ago, so it's kind
But
of
what's the
far away.
lesson of this is one thing, it's a very classic book.
I can't remember, to be honest. It's
I'll
been
just
too
say what
long.
it is. There's the beginning, she never got through it. In the end, the German soldiers killed in one last charge because the general wanted glory before the armistice was signed. It's meant that all war is bad, and if you're cogs, he goes, everyone fights over caps, other things. And she still thinks that the father is evil. Now, when he has his back turned, you don't realize she has the scissors. Now, it's also the book made her uncomfortable. But it's the father laying out his logic. He wants to end war. But he goes, I guess war never changes. And then people will always go on killing each other. Now, he turns his back. She nearly comes up and sneaks attacked him with the scissors to the neck and goes, the father thought he was going to be killed. Like, the look on his face, I have that screenshot too. That's like, I tell you, cinematography carries the show, by the way. And the concept is I'll be for it. But when you see it, it's him, and it's basically the idea is, I'll get these up here. Let's see, I'll put these up here and I'll tell you when they're ready. It's not that he can manipulate his daughter. He goes to what to expect. Okay, before I get up there. And then there's one more. Okay, let's go to 41 first. 41. She sneaks up behind him. You see why I say the acting is so good in this show? The way the scenes flow? Go to 30. He thinks he's dead.
And I agree with that. It's
It's such a
when it
good
comes to
scene.
acting. Yeah.
You can go to 43. Go to 43. And he goes almost for a second. I thought the wasteland changed you. She goes, no. He gives a little speech. Like sometimes, because bear in mind, this was after the thing of sometimes people just want to kill people. Then she goes, well, I'm going to bring you to justice. She thinks about it. Did you see how Hank always, every time he goes to manipulate, he always has a smirk? This is key in this show. Remember it. Now, he goes to 40, go to 44. Slide 44. Please, multi. Good. He goes and says, so if we're going to do this proper, he pulls handcuffs out, handcuffs himself. She's like, why would you just turn yourself in? She's very confused. Sometimes in a man's life, you have to be held responsible for your actions. I did what was best, I believe, for you. But maybe I went too far. Because this concerns blowing up Shady Sands. We still don't know what the main reason is, whether it was Enclave or Vault Tech, etc., etc. We know how Shady Sands was destroyed. And she's baffled. Why would he be just surrender? And they go through the entire facility and then introduces the people he captured were bad people. He may have wiped their memories of the past. He gave them a choice. And someone was like the cook for the Legion who was cooking human bodies. Another one was a murderer. One was the con head. Somehow he's nabbed Legion soldiers. Somehow. And there's an odd scene where they're about to take the thing to the surface. And then the snake oil salesman comes in with the two people. There's these two males that have him, but the chip's been implanted. What do you want to do with them? And she's like, oh, just let him go. Because it's the guy from the NCR. Basically. And let's show it. Because this is very, very key to where, here, you bring that up. So it brings 72 up. Do you remember that guy from one of about 2 episodes ago? Multi.
I don't, unfortunately.
That is one of the surviving NCR Rangers.
Oh,
Now,
the Caesar against the other group, right?
yeah, that's one of the last remaining. That's one of the last remaining NCR troopers all around.
That's I did recognize the suit and the armor. I was like, what's going on there? Are they coming from the same group we have
They're
seen
not.
capturing Lucy?
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna. So I explained this. This is a very much of a scene. You see how she has to choose, and she's forced to choose the button. She chooses to save the guy after being nearly stabbed herself by the guy, to push the button to strip them of their freedom and bring peace to them. Now, she then, this is why when I say this episode is so dense in sections, like she has this look at the father. I'll bring these two up again. She actually capture it. So 76, that's her look after she, to save the guy, the NCR person, she had to strip the other one of their freedom. Weight of choice. And he says, Kumbaya. Now, if you cannot tell me that's a chilling scene, Multi, that's literally how the scene plays out. If this show doesn't get good acting, that's why when I say the acting in this episode is so good. And it's one of these episodes we're getting set up for episode. So this is what I was going to show, because like he does this, because you remember how the bar plot I told you to extract the device, it was in Hank's neck. The device that he had in the thing is, oh, one thing before I forget, we're not sure. So before I talk about how the ghoul recovers, I know you hate the idea of the ghoul. See, Thaddeus basically leaves. Like the Thaddeus plot's really, really low in the episode. We just know he leaves the power armor because the Brotherhood could track it. Okay. But the super mutant frees the ghoul. We don't know who it is because we were always curious who in the trailer was, because the ghoul's also trying to fight to how he stays from going feral without the drugs. We're not sure how. We kind of learn. He reassures himself of his identity and family. Now, I'll bring this up. We did not. We knew who the voice was. So the super mutant frees him. Now, we know it's Ron Perlman's voice. We weren't sure what super mutant it's going to be. This is the scene where war is coming. And because he, instead of him dying, so you can go to there, to there. Now, there's a theory about this, by the way. Yeah.
So I just realized Dragon has some issues. Are you there? Dragon? Are you there?
1 second, just vamp for a second. It's playing.
So I guess I will be covering for that. I think the makeup and the design and every surrounding aspect of the TV show is really good. The only place where I feel like it's a drop off when compared to the previous season is really, I think the story itself is not as great as season one. But
I
overall, the show is still very good.
I'm gonna say this: the thing with season two, it's dealing with New Vegas. The problem is we never understood what the automated man project was. The problem with the automated man project in the black box that goes back to the first episode. It goes back to the first episode. It's what was the purpose of the black box, right? We know in this episode it was pitched to Vault Tech as a control device. We've learned that Vault Tech had a phase two. We don't know what the writers are meaning by it. We think it has to deal with FEV, right? But everyone knows in the game that's the thing. The thing is, there's a lot of stuff that's been happening. Like the second episode was a Brotherhood plot. This is a plot, like, no one suspected that Ron Perlman was going to show up. Because if you go to the next one, that's Ron Perlman. Ron Perlman's the mutant. He gets healed because here's the thing. The mutant is like basically we come from the same people who made us. The ghouls, like, I think we got bit by a different bug, but it's still the same FEV virus, right? Ghouls come from the FEV virus, super mutants come from the FEV virus too. But they go, the Enclave has been hunting down abominations and killing them. We know that as far back as season one, there was a super mutant on the thing. No one knew this scene was going to be. The fact that Ron Perlman wasn't even in the IMDb page till after. So apparently, he goes, us abominations need to stick together. But he refuses, he gets knocked out, and he gets dumped out at a church or Mojave Missionary School. And fun fact, everyone thinks that the ghoul's going to have super regenerative powers because he now basically has plutonium in his gut. So he might become a glowing one. But that's pretty much the episode. There's a lot of dense packed because next week is the penultimate episode. It's called The Exchange. That's why I give this a 10 out of 10, this particular one. But it is so densely packed. We know.
I will give a 9.7 because again, I thought the humor wasn't all great, unfortunately, and I think that's a recurring thing with that season. I feel like the humor has been a step down when compared to season one. Maybe I'm crazy on that, but yeah, 9.7, still very good episode that I quite enjoyed. And overall, I'm excited for the rest of the season. Even if
Now,
season two is not as good as
are
one,
you? Have you
it's a
kind of gathered?
standout season.
Have you gathered that the actual season has been told in parts? Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the Westworld style. Sometimes when you pull that off, it's good. Going from periods, starting with episode 5, my prediction 6 was going to be a slow episode. No, it's dense. Like, when I mean it's dense. Like,
Yeah.
Oxorn had his lore review at 30. I'm like, I don't know how. Like, the problem is, we know the next episode is called The Exchange. Hence why I said, remember Hank's keepsake box? Hank's
Yeah,
keepsake
so
box, there's something in there.
this is the teaser. So coming next on the channel, we will be talking about Fallout once episode 8 drops. I will let you know in advance which day exactly, because February is a weird month for me. But we will review 7 and 8 together, and the same night where we review 7 and 8, we will also give our overall thoughts on the entire season,
I
because now the
will.
season is
I
ending.
will. No, I will say this. I think the thing that was going to have to cement season two was going to be the Vegas trip, which occurred in episode 5.
Yeah,
I said that because I went and did my own stuff. I'm like, the Vegas trip in the past is going to be key.
yeah,
And it's proven to be the pivotal. Now, there is something, all I said in the trailers that hasn't happened yet, is Maximus in the next episode is going to wrestle with a Deathclaw on the strip. I'm not sure how that's going to work. We saw what happened after he went against the Yogwai. And if we're going off Fallout 76 lore, power armor is shit. So,
well. I am excited. So again, next time
yeah,
we
no,
talk about
7 and
Fallout,
8. No,
the
I'll
next time
say
we
in
talk about
February.
Fallout, we'll be covering 7, 8, and the entire season. With that being said, this is the outro now.
Like, can
What
I
do
ask
you
you
have
a
going on
question?
your end of the internet, Dragon?
Oh, I'm good. I have my own stuff planned. I got to go into all the Minnesota stuff next week and a couple of commentary streams. And oh, by the way, I ask you, do you feel this series being episodic hurt it?
I think so. Yeah, I I don't know. Like season one, I feel like you can binge watch it. Boom, one go and you're done. And this season, I feel like even if you binge watch it, I don't think it's as good. I just think they did a few missteps with the humor. I think the story is not as tight, and I feel like character growth isn't quite there yet. But we still have 7 and 8, so I don't know. We will see.
I will say this, but when I say it's using this season's using a lot of the Westworld storytelling, that's what's hurting it, I think, because this is why a lot of these episodes are longer. But me, I got it next week. I got to go into. I'm going to probably have a stream on the Davos stuff that we will touch on later,
Yeah,
as well as I'm going to, if a friend of mine who's a lawyer, we're going to go into some of the stuff on Minneapolis. God bless if I don't get even.
well, this is amazing. Now,
Oh,
on my end
yes.
of the internet,
Jeez.
Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is about to end at some point,
Oh,
probably
God.
this week or next week. We will see how it goes. In an hour or two, I will let you know a bit in advance, but in a very short period of time, we will be covering Davos and Carney's speech about a new
I
world
would
order
cover.
that's
I
really
would.
disgusting. Uh,
Actually, I'll have to. The fun fact is, because what you asked me to pull is I pulled the full Carney thing and the actual interview afterwards. They
But
gave an
there's also
interview.
a comment on Twitter on his meeting in China saying New World Order. Anyway, that's the topic we will be
Yes.
covering later tonight. I will text you just a little bit before we really go
You
live.
rest up.
I want to spend some time with my wife. Anyway, outside of that, well, Monday I will talk about Mercy and Dog 51, two dystopian trailer that are really hitting close home. I really feel like we are heading toward a totalitarian, authoritarian world, especially with freaking Canada taking the path it takes to come closer to China. It's just scary and
I'm
awful.
surprised, by the way, because I'll have thoughts when we do
I'm
talk
not.
about this. I'll
I'm
have thoughts
reading
on the.
Carney book, and it's all about control and all about the
By the way,
elite.
I'm surprised you aren't gonna. You haven't announced you're gonna review the Boneyard next week.
No, forget Boneyard.
Why? Okay.
I don't know. Like, there's so much, dude. Like, I'm trying to finish up Lucifer because I did end up reading the comics, and a preacher is also on the menu of the channel in February. And I just got so much going on,
I know.
Dragon,
I'm giving
and
you shit
my
because
wife is time consuming, and
I
YouTube is
said
time
that, but
consuming.
everyone's been talking about the Boneyard. But I'm not impressed by 28 Days Later, personally.
I liked Bone Temple. Bone
Bone Temple,
Temple was
sorry.
amazing.
Yeah, Bone Temple, yeah.
Anyway,
We'll take
um, for those who missed it, I had Gray on yesterday talking about the Bone Temple, so go watch that one. And well, I teased it already, but at some point in February, I will be covering Lucifer once again after reading the comics
You
and
don't have to read the comics.
after
The show doesn't deal
rewatching
with
the
the
TV show.
comics.
Shut up, I'm speaking.
Fine.
So that's the idea, and Preacher will follow Lucifer as well because I did read the comics as well. And at some point in February, I will be talking about Daniel Craig James Bond. And I will also talk about the books of James Bond at some point in March. And the Red Blue podcast is coming back very soon. With that being
Folks,
said, lots of reviews, lots of gaming, and I'm excited about Resident Evil 9. And with this, we are out and see you soon tonight. Like, give it
mhm.
an hour or two, and we will be talking politics once again. And we are out. Have a great one, everyone, and take care. Good night.